Alright fellas, real quick. As you can see, flushing the coolant system. So please do this before you think your 7.3 has a bad head gasket showing coolant pressurization symptoms. Sorry, I'm sick. If you're pressurizing the coolant or it's constantly going through the cap into the overflow, diesel in your coolant, excessive, I actually had it. I swear it was a head gasket, and I had my overflow was puking coolant out the cap, and I haven't flushed that, so there's still old junk coolant in the overflow. But flushing it out now, so I can put some antifreeze in it. It's cold, getting cold here in New England. But real quick, before you think, especially if that was the only thing that made me tear it apart. If you have diesel in your coolant, then you have a cup issue, an injector lifted, something along those lines. Don't think it's a head gasket, because it's probably not. In my case, it also was not. So I'll show you the cup if I can find it. I did all 8, of course. Why wouldn't you? It'd be silly if you didn't. Trying to find the cup there. Junk. I don't know where it is. Hold on here, guys. I don't know where it went. Interesting. So I only have... we get one. Oh, is it this one? Oh, it is this one. Alright, so as you can see, if you look in the light, we have a hairline crack. All the way, not quite all the way around, but almost all the way around. I'm surprised the entire cup came out when I pulled it. But, look down in here. I'll zoom in. Okay, so, let me look here. You see that little speck of black near the hole? Excuse me. That is actually, like I said, it's really hard to see. You're not going to be able to pick it up on your... Oh, there you go. See how, so it's black across the copper washer sealing surface. Which, like I said, cup's cracked. I look down in there, and you can physically see where I actually had combustion from the cylinder escaping, escaping in between the cup. Like you said, like that little black speck is where it was crossing through out of the hole, out of the injector tip hole. It was coming from there in between it and the copper washer, and it got into the cup. So when I pulled this injector out, absolutely covered in soot. The whole inside of this cup was soot. The injector was soot right below the fuel O-ring. I don't know if my injector lifted just enough to do it. Whatever, doesn't matter. It's fixed now. But I think what happened is it got the inside of the cup hot, obviously, cracked the cup, and then obviously it started letting diesel enter into my coolant. So, pretty much, which is weird. It's really hard to say. So I didn't find any cracks down here. But you can see that these hairline cracks are from me pulling the cup. But anyways, that's the issue I was having. But I was actually getting combustion gas in my coolant system, acting like a head gasket. But like I said, I had diesel in the coolant, which made me go, hey, I should pull all 8 injectors and check all my condition of my cups and my O-rings, injector O-rings, and get condition of the injectors and make sure there's no cylinder head cracks, blah, 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 blah. So did that. Like I said, pulled, it was the third one back on the passenger side. So that one ended up pulling it out, covered in soot. We knew that combustion was escaping between the copper washer and the cup. Cracked the injector cup, introducing it into my cooling system. The only reason that I had signs of it was I hopped in it one day, probably a month or so ago. No, more than that, like a month and a half. It was one of the cold days. Flipped the heat on, started the truck, let it run for 10 minutes. No heat. Got in the truck 10 minutes later, heat was dead cold. I'm like, oh no. As soon as I started driving it, got heat. Okay, coolant's low. Right, check coolant level. It was low. But my overflow was filled with diesel and coolant. So my stupid ASS went, all right, well, let's top the radiator off, see if we got heat again. Got heat again, but took it for a ride, got some ton of wood pellets in the bed from a couple towns over for winter. Got home, coolant covering the side of my truck. There was coolant all the way down the side of my truck, and it was puking out of the wheel well and under and up. I'm like, you gotta be freaking kidding me. So that's how I knew I had a problem. Started out with no heat, and then it was pushing coolant out my overflow. So, you know, at that rate, I knew I had a big issue. Yeah, so I didn't run it for a month, and eventually got to it, and I was like, you know what? Diesel and the coolant, it's got to be cups. It's got to be a cup issue. Injector hold down. Injector wasn't tight. You know, whatever have you. So, yeah. So before you guys tear your motors apart, check for head gasket. Check for injector cup failure. Injectors lifting, or a lot of times, sometimes 7.3s actually crack the heads. That's a possibility near the injector tip, introducing pressurization in the cooling system. So my oil was clean and everything. That's how I knew I didn't really smoke a head gasket that bad. But yeah, just a quick video to kind of give you guys an update too. A lot of you like seeing the progress of this truck, and I just put the T4 system on it, and everything runs excellent. But it kind of sucked because this happened. I'm like, oh yeah, I blew a head gasket. It's got 372,000 miles on it, and I just put a T4 system. I've had the 238 CC100 injectors on it for, God, 5 years. No intercooler, stock turbo. It ran great. Runs even better now. But I was like, yeah, if it would have blown a head gasket, it would have done it without an intercooler. So, yeah. So until next time, guys, there's a good tip for you 7.3 boys. Until next time.